This is a two-lane road in Amsterdam that has curbside protected bike lanes, but it used to be a four-lane road with no bicycle infrastructure. This street underwent quite a big change. This is Scheldestraat in Amsterdam, and like most of the city, it is quite a nice place. Amsterdam is renowned worldwide for its exceptional street and public space design. Over the years, the city has become much more bicycle-friendly, significantly reducing car traffic and improving public transportation. This shift shows that the key to reducing car traffic is providing viable alternatives to driving. But this street wasn't recently built. The design is over 25 years old, yet it is still better than most newly built streets worldwide. Today, we're going to explore the great redesign of Scheldestraat, looking at why the transformation was necessary, how it was achieved, and the lasting benefits it has brought to the city of Amsterdam. When we look at photos of the street from the 1980s, one thing becomes immediately clear. It was a car-dominated space. 4 lanes of traffic, cyclists sharing the road with cars, and pedestrians are unable to cross the street safely. Today, the street is a much more welcoming place with less space for cars. Redesigned in the 90s, it still stands as a great example of Dutch traffic engineering, one that balances accessibility, safety, and livability. This street is what you would call a traffic area or a distributor road. Traffic areas connect residential areas and are spaces where traffic can flow smoothly. Although today's street isn't in perfect condition and could benefit from several improvements, it remains a fantastic example that the rest of the world can learn from. Let's imagine that we're tasked with redesigning this street and see how we can improve it. This is the old street profile from the 80s. There are 4 lanes of traffic, parking, and trees. The trees will be preserved, but the rest of the street needs a significant overhaul. The 4 traffic lanes will be reduced to 2 lanes and a continuous pavement will be installed. The pavement remains at the same level, making crossing for people much easier and safer. The beveled curbs act as speed bumps, slowing drivers down. Smaller bricks are used here instead of large tiles, as they distribute the weight of vehicles more evenly. Still, the color remains consistent to maintain a seamless appearance, marking pedestrian priority. We will also put in a raised pedestrian crossing so people can easily cross the street. This is especially important for parents with strollers and individuals with special needs, as they won't have to drop down to street level when crossing. Raised crossings also make drivers slow down and pay more attention. Ideally, there should be traffic islands to increase visibility and slow down drivers, but in our case, they weren't implemented. Let's return to the roadway. We forgot to add road markings. First, we'll paint a cross to prevent cars from blocking the intersection in case of heavy traffic. Next, we'll add lane markings, but instead of a single dashed line, we'll use 2 dashed lines to create a small painted median. This approach visually narrows each traffic lane while keeping the roadway wide enough for emergency vehicles to pass in case of congestion. However, because of this, painted medians shouldn't be the go-to solution. On newer streets, slightly raised brick and grass medians are typically preferred. They help prevent overtaking and maintain lower vehicle speeds. And don't worry about emergency vehicles. A slightly raised grass median won't pose a problem, as regular cars can easily drive over it when necessary. Now, you might be wondering, won't getting rid of 2 lanes of traffic cause traffic jams? In the short term, perhaps. But if a city truly wants to reduce traffic, the only long-term solution is providing viable alternatives to driving. And in a dense city, the best alternative is the bicycle. We will install one-way curbside protected bike lanes to ensure people have a safe space to cycle. Distributor roads should have separate cycling infrastructure, as mixing cars and bikes at higher speeds is unsafe. Today, the speed limit has been reduced to 30 km per hour, but the street was originally designed for 50 km per hour, making separate bicycle infrastructure necessary. In Amsterdam, newer distributor roads with a 30 km per hour speed limit allow cars and bikes to share the road. However, as 50 km per hour is still the standard worldwide, and people aren't used to cyclists like Dutch drivers are, curbside protected bike lanes remain the best solution. While bidirectional bike lanes are often easier to implement, they require cyclists to cross the street if their destination is on the opposite side. In contrast, one-way bike lanes enable cyclists to arrive directly at their destination without crossing traffic. When designing one-way bike lanes, making them wide enough for cyclists to pass each other comfortably is essential. But bike lanes aren't just for cyclists. People in mobility scooters also use them. So building safe bike infrastructure isn't just about encouraging cycling, it's about providing disabled individuals the freedom to move around independently. With several bars, restaurants, and homes along the street, we need to put in several parking spaces. It's equally important to designate specific delivery parking spaces, which will be indicated with a cross. This will ensure that vans can park safely. Notice the signage. Instead of cluttering the area with multiple parking signs, only 2 small ones are used to reduce visual pollution. Ideally, parking spaces should be paved with bricks to create a visual separation from the asphalt roadway. However, what's far more important is creating a buffer zone between the parking spaces and the bike lane. This buffer doesn't need to be very wide, just enough to ensure that when a passenger opens their door, they won't knock over a cyclist and can exit the vehicle safely. Additionally, the buffer zone can be extended into the parking area and used for other purposes, such as installing underground garbage containers. This is a crucial element in keeping the street free from countless garbage bins. Instead of each resident and shop owner having multiple bins, everyone can dispose of their trash at the nearest underground container. However, this system works best in dense neighborhoods where a larger tax base can support the maintenance required. The remaining space on our street will be dedicated to pedestrians. We will also include areas for bicycle parking and provide space for bars and restaurants to set up outdoor seating. This will create a more inviting and lively atmosphere, rather than just serving as a thoroughfare for traffic. By definition, traffic areas prioritize the movement of vehicles, but that doesn't mean that a traffic area can't also be a vibrant and pleasant place to spend time. As a final touch, we'll install bollards along the continuous pavement. These bollards will guide drivers safely between the traffic and residential areas, preventing them from driving onto the pavement. So, what improvements have been made to this street? The number of car lanes has been reduced, safe intersections with continuous pavements have been installed, and a raised pedestrian crossing has been added. Curbside protected bike lanes have been implemented, and regular and delivery parking spaces have been put in, along with a buffer zone between parking and the bike lane. Underground garbage containers have been installed, bicycle parking has been provided, and cafes and restaurants have space for outdoor dining. This is how Amsterdam has transformed an unsafe, car-centric street into a vibrant and welcoming space. Comparing the street from the 1980s to today, it's quite a difference. On which street would you rather live on? Amsterdam hasn't always been the bicycle-friendly city we know today. We don't need to ban cars to create safe and livable streets. We just need to reduce the space allocated to cars to make room for everyone. Has your city taken similar steps? Comment below. The story of how Amsterdam transformed its streets is one everyone should know, and in the next video, we'll dive into how one neighborhood evolved into a better place for everybody.